Good evening, everybody. Chris and Tiffany here with High Seas Cruising, and welcome to this week's live. All right, good evening, Ray. We see Ray is here. Dilly, good evening. Welcome to tonight's episode. And we are here to talk about all things cruising.
Yes.
And some funny and interesting stories, and a very important lesson story this week, too. Very important lesson story. I do wish that the cruisers out there, especially new cruisers, would learn from the stuff that we tell people and that other content creators tell people, and people that watch YouTube and cruising would they tell everybody, but these stories still continue to pop up. Good evening, Robert.
Lenny says hi from Geneva and Lenny, and Dale says hello.
Hello, welcome to tonight's show. Welcome to tonight's show.
I like the shirt color.
Thank you. Yep, this is from our new merch store. These shirts came in today. Tiffany wanted one that looked just like me. She wants to be like me. I understand. It's okay.
Mine needs a Minnie Mouse on it or something.
I'm pretty sure that's a copyright violation.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure Disney would be like on that particular one. But let's jump right into it. So, first, all of the Voyager of the Seas episodes, they are all up. They are all posted. They are all live, with the exception of the full ship tour. And the full ship tour will be coming out Friday morning. Been working on that all day today. Finally got that done. Those ship video tours, they take a while to get all that put together. But the ship tour will be available on Friday, but all of the rest of the Voyager of the Sea stuff is up there. So that was fun. I like doing the videos once we get home and going back and seeing all the stuff we saw, and kind of like gives me a chance to like relive it again.
You should have heard him doing the Cozumel one. I said that. Hi, Chris and Tiffany, enjoying your Voyager vlogs.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. Welcome to tonight's live. So I read a story. It was actually, I was reading John Heald's page today. And apparently, just to give you a kind of an example of what, I don't know what goes through some cruisers' minds. But apparently there's a rope. And it says, do not cross, right on the ship. And this passenger decided to step over the rope, fell, hurt their ankle, and then wanted free medical care from Carnival Cruise Lines from getting hurt from falling over a rope that said do not enter. What do you think about that?
I think that should have been on what every cruiser wants.
It wasn't even a comment. It was just like a quick little blurb that I saw, but it makes you think. You probably should turn the ringer off on your phone when we're doing live videos. But, yeah, I mean, that is the example of some of the stuff that people are doing on cruise ships these days. It's like, it says for me not to do this. It says for me not to cross this. I will do it anyway because I want what's on the other side. Oh, now I've hurt myself. Now you owe me medical. Carnival said no to the free medical, by the way, which rightly they absolutely should have. If you're dumb, you know, you guys, I'm sure, I know we say it here in the South, but I'm sure they say it everywhere. But you know, the little bit of F around and find out. Well, he around and he found out.
I like your matching t-shirts.
Thank you. Every once in a while, we got to wear the same thing. Plus, it's our brand new merch. We got it in today. Finally, there was a whole fiasco with the address. They shipped it out. They did it really quick. Like I said, this is our new store. We switched who does our merchandising here this year. And so they sent it out right away. Boom, everything like that. But they forgot to put the physical street number, the house address on there. They just put the street. And so, of course, package didn't get delivered. It got returned. But they immediately emailed me, fixed it, sent it back out, free shipping, all that kind of good stuff. Took good care of us. So especially if anybody orders any merch, at least I know they're watching what they're doing on the backside. A mistake happens. I'd rather it happen to me than happen to somebody else. You know what I mean? At least with me. But it showed that they were there and they cared and everything. But the whole purpose of these shirts was we were actually going to wear them on Embarkation Day on Voyager of the Seas, because that's when they were supposed to be in. I figured it would help us to stand out in the crowd. To me, in my camera, they look a little orange, but they're actually red. It could just be the way the camera, the lighting is and stuff like that, but they're actually a really red color. So I figured that, hey, get on the ship. We'd stand out. You'd be able to point us out in the crowd, see us in the crowd. The logo's, decent sized and stuff like that. We'd be more noticeable. But as you can see, they came today and we've been home for over a week. So best laid plans don't always work out. But I do want to talk about something really, really important. Now, my experienced cruisers, you guys have heard me say this. My OG viewers that have been with us the whole time, you guys have heard us say it. Excuse me. You guys know it. We already all practice it and live it. But we do get new viewers. We got people that, first time to the channel, fixing to take their very first cruise.
It says howdy from Galveston.
Galveston. Awesome. Right down the street from us.
Yes. Cody says hi.
Welcome to the show. We're talking about a little something that happened in the cruise news last week and I'm not going to pick on these two young ladies. Mistakes are made. It happens. And they're paying the price for what happened, for them not following the basic cruise advice that, cruisers put out, experienced cruisers put out, and experienced cruisers live by. But it's a good teaching opportunity for those that are, like I said, are new to cruising and fixing to go on their own cruise. So these two young ladies boarded a ship. They went to Cozumel, Mexico. They got off in Cozumel, Mexico, and they went down and third party, because cruise lines don't do this as an excursion, but they rented a scooter in Cozumel, Mexico on their own and took off riding on this scooter. Now, they were not back when it was time for the ship to leave. They couldn't be located. The ship left Cozumel, Mexico without these two young ladies. Now, it turned out later, we get the whole rest of the story. What happened is they were on this scooter and they were involved in a hit and run accident. So somebody hit them while they were on the scooter, caused an auto accident. One of the girls was pretty banged up. The other one had a broken arm, I believe is what they're saying. So they were pretty messed up and they had to go to the hospital. One of the girls had insurance, but it was questionable whether or not it was going to pay the hospital in Mexico. The other young lady did not have insurance that would work in Mexico. So they my understanding, she had a compound fracture, bone sticking out. They basically just wrapped her arm, threw it in a sling and said, bye. Because in Mexico, they're not required to treat you. The laws there are different. And if you can't pay, they don't have to do it. And so they didn't. And the other young lady was treated, admitted to the hospital, but it becomes a question of whether her insurance is going to pay. And so now the hospital wants anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 in money, just to make sure the insurance company can pay. So they don't want to release her. So now you got two young ladies stuck in Mexico. Now this gets worse because they traveled on a passport, not a passport, a birth certificate. They went without passports. So now they can't fly home. So now they have to get with immigration and get special permission to come back to the United States. And look, you'd think it'd be pretty easy. You know, American citizens go to immigration, say, hey, I'm here. I need to come back to the States. If you've ever dealt with a government office, though, it's not like these are some speedy folks. They move at the slowest pace humanly possible. And even for an American to get permission to come back to the States can sometimes take weeks. And the whole time they're there, this is on them. Their dime, their expense. And they didn't have travel insurance, is my understanding, either. So no travel insurance and no passports. And I know lots of people cruise day in and day out, week after week. They travel on birth certificates. They don't get passports. But what if you are that one person, the two young ladies that this happened to, and this was their very first cruise? And unfortunately, it's a really hard lesson to learn your first time out. And if you think about it, you know, yeah, it could seem like a passport is expensive. $200. Just round it up. You know, $200 to get a passport. But that's for 10 years. That is for 10 years. So, I mean, in reality, is it going to cost you all that much? If you think of, you know, how many times do you go get a coffee in 10 years? I bet you spend more than $200 on a coffee. Or
about 2,000.
That's you. But, you know, I stop at the gas station, or every time we go to Cozumel and I get one of these, I spent more than $200 in 10 years. Get a passport. Get travel insurance. Get a passport. Please don't be the story we have to tell on here as a lesson to other people. Now, I wish these girls a speedy recovery. I hope they get home soon, a timely manner, and this all gets worked out. But for everyone else, new cruisers, please let this be the lesson. Don't let it be you.
Yes.
Because it's in a very expensive mistake. Extremely.
Rick says we enjoyed the Cozumel Snuba video.
Awesome. Glad you guys liked that. It was a lot of fun. My ear is still popping occasionally for it. I'm not sure how my body feels about that pressure change. Everything I read, though, says that my allergies and my sinuses are really aggravating the problem. And the older I get, the worse my allergies get every year. Other than that, I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. I loved it. Glad that you guys liked the video. I thought it came out pretty nice. Showing both sides of it, what I filmed and what they filmed. I was able to combine it together to kind of give it that.
Alien says, good evening, Chris and Tiff. I dig the high seas cruising shirts. I'm doing some work right now, so I'll be listening, but probably not commenting.
And that's okay. We all got to work when we got to work.
Yep.
Sometimes they make us. Tiffany makes me.
Rick says, I have been cruising since 88. Everyone needs to get travel insurance. Can't stress that enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And you go 10, 20 years and never have to use it one single time. We've never had to file a claim. We've never had that kind of unfortunate thing happen to us on a cruise. But we get that travel insurance every single time.
Yeah. Now, on that line, there was a video that I saw today that it was for first-time cruisers. And it was talking about how you shouldn't waste your money on shore excursions. Yeah.
I'm going to have to disagree with that in a lot of circumstances.
I am definitely going to have to disagree. Just from what we saw on Voyager, the cruise ship came back because that person...
No, that was Harmony, and they were on a ship excursion.
That's what I'm saying. I got the ship wrong. But the ship came back for that person because they were on a shore excursion. But without that shore excursion, you're on your own if something happens. And like I said, you never know what's going to happen. A flat tire, a hit and run.
Right. And look, there's always the possibility, or you can always go to a third-party vendor in order to get a shore excursion? Of course you can. A lot of times you can get them less expensive. Sure you can. If you've been to a place multiple times, you're comfortable with a vendor, you're comfortable doing your own thing, you've got a lot of experience with it, it's probably not as bad. But if you're a first-time cruiser and you've never been on a cruise, you've never been to any of these ports or anything like that, you're not familiar with, how all of cruising works, don't go booking some third-party shore excursion, because if something happens, you're SOL. At least get in the flow first. I would say that video is completely bunk, and I would never tell a first-time cruiser not to book a ship excursion. I would absolutely recommend they, do ship excursions just for that safety net.
Yes.
Take the safety net, take the opportunity to learn all you can learn before you're willing to take that extra little chance. Even us, very, very experienced cruisers, but we go to Cozumel, and we went to Snuba, and that was a ship excursion. But afterwards, we wandered around the city by ourselves. We did our own thing. If something would have happened to us while we were out in the city doing our own thing, and we didn't make it back to the ship, still on us. That safety net is not there. So even experienced cruisers, take a chance by doing your own thing. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty confident that I can go out in the town and be okay, but even for me, that chance still exists. It's still a possibility, but that's also exactly why we have all of the insurances that go along with that. Yeah. But if you're a first-time cruiser, you see videos out there that say, don't take ship excursions. Don't watch that video. That's the very first thing I'm going to tell you right there. You take that safety net. You use that safety net, and you make sure you are back on the ship, and that ship is there waiting for you. Plain and simple. Yeah. Plain and simple. Don't jack up your first cruise vacation.
Dale says, your scuba video renewed my interest to return to Cozumel.
Love Cozumel.
Mm-hmm. Cody says they're just begging for camera time. And
Rick, running down the dock.
Rick said, I still prefer ship-sponsored excursions. I don't want to chance it, and good insurance.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, we haven't even gone through all of the ship excursions that we would want to do yet.
No, not by a long shot.
Not by a long shot. No matter how many times we go to some place, they're always adding something new, a new opportunity, maybe a new experience. And even Cozumel, which we've been to so many times recently, there's still excursions in Cozumel we want to go do that we have just not even gotten to yet. They're all ship excursions. I like having that safety net. I like knowing that if my bus gets a flat tire, or what if somebody hit and run your excursion van or your excursion taxi while you're heading back to the ship.
Well, I'm just thinking about when we were in Jamaica going on that horse.
Oh, when our bus broke down?
Our bus hit that dip and started smoking. I thought, oh my God, we're stuck here. But that was a ship excursion. That was a ship excursion, so we had that safety net. But,
right, and the ship would have been there. Now, of course, you guys know how it is. In places like Jamaica, the driver hopped off the bus, rolled into that sucker, banged on it, fixed on it, jacked on while we were riding horses. By the time we came back, that bus was done smoking. I didn't even see him with a tool bag. Mm-mm. I'm pretty sure he banged on it with a rock. And he fixed it. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie. I've seen a lot of ingenuity in places outside of this country.
What was the name of the restaurant that you were at in Cozumel? We were actually at two. The first one was Jenny's.
Yeah, and the second one was El Chile.
Something like that.
Yeah, you talking about the first one where we did the diving, or the second one with Roberto?
Connie says, I 100% always do the ship excursions when I do excursions. I agree. I think that the cruise YouTubers who say to not do ship excursions are irresponsible.
Yeah, especially if you were going to make that a tip to a first-time cruiser. I agree. That's irresponsible to say to a first-time cruiser. Because look at the two young ladies who were first-time cruisers, and maybe had they listened to somebody responsible who said, hey guys, consider doing it this way because this is what could happen, maybe they wouldn't have rented a moped. I don't recommend renting the mopeds at all, period.
Have you seen the way they drive?
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to drive in that country because they drive differently than what we do. They've got their own thing going on, which is perfectly fine, but it's not something
We're not used to it.
I'm not used to it. I'm not even sure I can safely drive in it.
Rick says the last one.
Yeah, that was El Chili's, I believe is the name of that. And it doesn't even matter which cruise. If you go there on Royal Caribbean or you go there on Carnival, Princess, whatever, you go right out of the cruise port because they're right next to each other. You go right out of the cruise port and it's right there in between the two. It's a cross street. It's a big 2-story yellow building and it's got fishbowl-sized drinks right in front. It's right there on the corner, easily accessible from both cruise ports.
Now the guacamole was not at that one.
Right.
Guacamole was at Jenny's where we did the scuba.
Right.
Or snooba.
Snooba. Well, the sea trek.
Yeah.
Snooba's the mask with a hose and you swim.
Yeah. So, but the guacamole, it looked amazing. It was amazing. I did my best to polish that off.
Yeah, that was at Jenny's at the first place, was the guacamole.
And they kept telling me that Abuela was in the kitchen making it.
The tacos were at El Chili's with the big Caribbean. What were they? Caribbean frogs, I think was the name of those drinks.
Yeah, I think I had a Caribbean frog.
We had the same thing.
Yeah. So that was good.
But yeah, we've gone back to that El Chili's twice. The last 2 times we've actually been to Cozumel. That is quickly becoming one of our favorite places to go eat. I think the waiter remembers us. He sees us. He waves. He ran over. We remembered him. I don't know. Tiffany says it's just a reaction because we were looking at him. But I think he remembers. We weren't there that long ago.
They see thousands of people a day.
And how do crew members learn everybody's new name every week?
The crew members at least have the advantage of spending at least a week with us.
Yeah, but they remember it like on the first day.
I know, but I don't know. Maybe he did. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
I think he did.
I think he maybe remembered the camera.
That could be it too.
We've always got the camera out.
We did too. But remember, I went to Progresso on a solo cruise. Mm-hmm. And I went on the
that was a princess.
The Segway. Remember, okay. No, I did the Segway excursion in Progresso, and it was just me. Mm-hmm. That was back on the Ecstasy. And when you and I went to Progresso a few months later, remember we saw the excursion there again. And he immediately recognized me. And it also was for the camera. He's like, you're back making videos again. I said, I am. So it could be the camera. Yeah. It very well could be. I'm the camera guy of Mexico, I guess.
Port of Galveston is working on an agreement to build a 4th terminal for MSC and NCL. Have you sailed on either line?
We have MSC booked for May, but we haven't sailed on it yet. But we're supposed to do MSC Seascape in May for Tiffany's birthday. Sailing out of Miami. Yes. Yeah, we're going to sail out of Miami. And that's going to be our first excursion on MSC. NCL's on our list. We're either going to do the Prima or the Breakaway, both which are sailing out of Galveston. So, but yeah, I've been paying attention to that 4th cruise terminal. Galveston's growing. Galveston wants that business. They're working on Terminal B right now. A or B, there still is under construction down there, getting ready for the Jubilee. So they're growing the heck out of Galveston. They want to compete with Florida ports, period.
Just Cody, y'all seem to definitely be having a good time, meaning that wasn't going cheap on the alcohol at both restaurants, especially the second one.
It was cheap. It was absolutely cheap. The first drinks were included with the excursion.
I think he means cheap alcohol.
Oh, it wasn't cheap alcohol. But if you're talking about price, You go to we go to like El Chili's, we get the things, the chips, the 2 plates of tacos, that giant thing of drinks. What was our bill?
$30-something.
$30 before we give a tip. Yeah, you have a really good time in Mexico with some really good food and some really good tequila. And it's not cheap booze, but it's not an expensive price.
Stephanie says, good evening. Curious as to what airport is the closest to the port of Galveston. Having never sailed out of there before, we'll be doing our cruise on the Harmony of the Seas next June.
Okay, so you're going to be flying into Houston. That is the largest airport that people fly into, or the closest airport. Galveston does have an airport, but it's, teeny tiny, more of a private plane type of little regional airport. So you're going to fly into Houston. It is a hot minute of a drive from the airport in Houston down to Galveston. Make sure you're coming in at least a day or two early. Make sure you have your transportation planned out and arranged. There is a shuttle that run from the airport down to Galveston. Honestly, if it was me, especially if you're traveling with 2 to 3 people, is to get an Uber, because it's still a good 30, 45-minute drive down there, depending the time of day and the traffic. But Houston's going to be your closest.
Just Cody said they had a heavy pour, didn't they? I think Roberto had a lot to do with it.
And Jenny's, the first place with the skinny margaritas, he had a very, very heavy pour. He was proud of his pour. When I wasn't filming, me and the bartender we had about a 45-minute conversation about tequila, where it comes from. But yeah, he had a very heavy pour, and he was proud of that pour, and he was proud of the quality of that tequila.
What about hotels? We are heading with the entire family.
Now that right there could be a multifaceted type of question. So there are hotels that are very close to the cruise port. There's a hotel that you can walk to the cruise port from. Oh no, you're going on Harmony. Scratch that. Those are closer to the other side. There's some hotels over there. If you're going on Harmony of the Seas, you're probably going to want to stay somewhere on the seawall side, which is actually the opposite side of the island of where the cruise ports are. It's not very far. To drive from one side of the island to the other straight across like that's like 5 minutes. And that's with traffic lights and stop signs.
Rick says you want to fly in Hobby. Do not use Bush Intercontinental Airport.
Yeah, so there you go. Make sure you're flying into Hobby as your airport, but definitely stay on the seawall side. So on the seawall side, you have all of your standard hotels. You can really pick any of the ones that you like. They have all the chains, your Holiday Inns and all that kind of good stuff. There's Marriott's, whatever hotel chain you prefer, they have them there. The seawall is very, very long. So you'll walk across the street, bam, you're on the beach. There's shopping, there's restaurants, and you can pretty much find something within walking distance. So you don't even have to have a car just to get around to your basic stuff on Galveston Island. If you need last minute things, stuff like that, you hop an Uber. You can go to Walmart, you can go to Target, you can go to the grocery store, whatever the case may be. Galveston's super easy. It's not overly expensive, but you can also stay on the other side of the island. You can stay at places like the Tenant House, the Harbor House, places like that are on the water. You can see cruise ships, watch them come and go, but you're paying a price for that. So it's really about your budget. Me, if I'm going with my whole family and we're going in a day or two early, we're staying on the seawall side. Price beats it all.
How far is the airport down to Galveston? It's about 45 minutes.
30, 45 minutes. I couldn't really tell you the miles, but it's about 30, 45 minutes. It's not a quick drive. You got to go down all the way down the I-45?
I think.
Yeah, all the way down the I-45. You got to cross over the bridge to even get on Galveston Island. It's a minute.
Nice hotels on the seawall. Holiday Inn Express is nice and reasonable price next door to the Spot. The Spot is a good place to eat.
Yes, and the Spot is a good place to eat. We ate there the last time we stayed in Galveston. Liked the Spot.
Yes.
Good recommendation.
And Dilly's asking 3 hours from Manhattan, New York City to Newark, New Jersey. Is 3 hours too long? Too long for
travel time? In New York, to be honest with you, someone else would have to answer that particular question. Is that too long in New York? I honestly don't know. Simply because I have no experience really with that part of the country. I haven't been in New Jersey since 1991 was the last time I was in New Jersey. So
Stephanie says, awesome, thanks.
Oh no, you're absolutely welcome. If you have any questions about Galveston, we can answer them. Rick is on here from Galveston, so this is definitely a good opportunity to ask him while we have Rick here, who's living there, from there, and can tell you anything and everything you probably want to know about Galveston. He probably has way more information than I have. So if Rick doesn't mind, I would definitely pick his brain right now while you got him on the line with us, because that's what we do here.
Yeah.
We are an information sharing network as much as we possibly can be. Oh, where are we at? The Holiday Inn. We stayed at a couple of different hotels in Galveston. We kind of move around. I try out different ones, different times. We're close enough. We drive down there, but we don't even drive through Houston. I come all the way around the back way, and I go through Bay City over to Hitchcock, and then I come up that way. So I avoid the freeways altogether. It takes a little bit longer for me to get there that way.
But less hassle.
But God, so much less stress.
And we get to the ship, and we're still in a good mood.
Yes. No matter what day of the week it is, I've not fought any of that nasty traffic. And when I get to the ship, yep, I'm still happy. So that is always a plus.
Rick says no problem.
No, we appreciate it, Rick. Thank you very much.
But if you go to Galveston, you have to go to the taffy factory, the taffy place, the candy store, because you can watch them pull taffy.
Tiffany has a thing for the candy store.
I have a thing for the candy store. I love their taffy. We usually stop and get taffy before we cruise. Last time we went to the taffy store, the gentleman that does the pulling had hurt his arm and couldn't pull, so they were going to be without taffy for a couple months. We are traveling in June. When do you recommend booking the hotel? There will be 9 of us, including a 3-year-old.
Next June, I would book this year. Summertime in Galveston is you're on season. It's not one of the off-season times. The earlier you can book, sometimes you can get better prices. Prices do have a tendency to go up as you get closer, like most places. So I would definitely start looking now, start booking now, pick the one you want. Little trip as being a travel agent, find one that has a refundable deposit that doesn't require you to pay until you get there, which most of them will do for you. That way, if you book it next week and then 3 weeks later you find one you like better, you can just hop reservations too.
Rick says, I'm a fan, friends with Derek at Island Time and Coach Cruise too. He also says in June, it's tourist season in Galveston, book early.
Yep.
And Lenny wants to know how to order shirts.
I don't know if it is on this video because I can't see. Hold on, let me see. I've got it pulled up right here. Let me see if it's on this one or not. I don't think it is on the lives. On our regular videos, the ones just we put out, if you go down to the description, you should see some pictures of the shirts right there on the page. And it should have a direct link into our merch store. So you can go over there. They got different styles, different colors, hats, all that kind of good stuff is right there in the merch store. But yeah, if you look at the videos, you'll see some pictures of the t-shirts At the bottom, it's kind of got almost looks a little addish, that kind of thing. But
Stephanie says, "Okay, thanks so much."
oh no, you are absolutely welcome. Like I said, this is the type of community we want to promote and to share. Is when anybody can come on here, ask cruising questions, location questions, and we will all pitch in and answer those questions. I'm definitely not an expert on every single place out there, but we usually end up with somebody who's in the area, from the area, or knows the area to help pitch in. So works out really, really well. If you want to see some of the places like the candy store, some of the locations, restaurants and stuff, even information about the spot, if you go look at some of our past videos, I've got Galveston videos on there, kind of giving little tours of Galveston, different places, hotels, restaurants, stuff like that. You can also take a look at those if you want. It may also help give you some ideas. Mm-hmm. So we put all that stuff on there as well, because we sail out of Galveston 99% of the time. That is definitely our home port.
Yes.
And Galveston is going to keep bringing me new ships and new terminals and new cruise lines. I don't see me leaving Galveston anytime soon. At least not until we stop living in Texas anymore. The move to North Carolina thing is still under debate. Tiffany keeps saying North Carolina. I have now put my vote in. I voted for Scotland.
We'd never see the grandbabies.
Huh?
We would never see the grandbabies.
We bring them to Scotland with us. You can tell me the grandbabies wouldn't like Scottish cows, Highland cows.
Back away.
That's right. She would love some cows.
It says, "Glad to hear. Hope to run into you here."
You very well might. I plan to cruise somewhere to Galveston for sure. Those dogs, they bark every single week. But where are we at here? I have no idea.
Have you all considered cruising the Carnival Miracle for fall 2024 or spring 2025 on one of their longer cruises?
I want to for sure, because they are doing some unique itineraries. Whether or not I'm going to be able to get Tiffany on that ship is a whole other question. Tiffany does not have the availability to go for some of the longer cruises as often as I'd like her to. And in 2025, for sure, at this point, we're going to be on a 38 or 28-day cruise. And so between flying and everything like that, we're going to be gone just a hair over a month. So is she going to be able to get on one of those? I don't know. Could end up being a solo cruise. We're still kind of looking at that one. But yes, I am very interested in those. Simply because I haven't sailed on the Carnival Miracle, so that's another ship. And like I said, they're doing some longer, unique itineraries. We're going to get a little more Eastern Caribbean. I believe they're going to make some stops over as far as the ABC Islands. So, yeah. They have some very interesting and uniquely interesting itineraries that catch my attention. Because as much as I love Cozumel, that same little circuit over and over again gets a little boring. The ships are great, and that's one of the reasons I cruise is to see all the different ships. But I want to see some other cruise ports too. I want the experience of the other locations.
Just Cody says that was the link to your merch shop, but I didn't think YouTube allows links because it was pulled.
Huh, okay. I'll have to go in there and take a look at it and see what's going on with it. Stuff hiccups all the time. YouTube is so far from perfect. But I will go in later tonight and I will double check all those links. We'll click through them and make sure they're functional, pull them down, put them back up, whatever we need to do.
If not Instagram, can we put it on Instagram or FB?
Well, it links directly into the YouTube page.
Okay.
We can put it on all those others, of course, but it links directly in there. So
I definitely understand not getting an extended amount of time off work.
yeah, and that's the killer part right there. Is Tiffany has way more responsibility than I have in this world right now. So I can goof off way more than she can, and nobody misses me if I disappear for long periods of time.
I can't miss a day.
But they notice when she's gone.
It works. I just posted it and it disappeared. Okay.
Oh, I think the live. Oh, you're posting it here on the live. I think the live blocks links. There's a feature in there when you set up the live, because it used to be live people when you're doing live videos, you'd get a lot of those spammers. Come check out my site, and all that kind of garbage. And so I think it automatically blocks the links. I think I have to go in there and purposely unblock them. But then that leaves you open to spammers, which is why a lot of times, depending on which way you go in on a live, and I know this is way off the subject, like here I'm using StreamYard, so everybody can chat, but it still blocks the links. But like if I was on YouTube's site directly going live, which is what you see when we're on cruise ships, and I go, those impromptu lives, you can't actually even comment on the videos unless you're a subscriber. YouTube blocks that side. I have to go in and change all those settings to allow all kinds of stuff. It's supposed to protect us all, but yeah, that's what's blocking the link.
Jewel of the Seas is coming to Galveston too with some alternative destinations.
Yes. Remember, that's the paper that you were looking at reading while we're on the ship.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Jewel of the Seas ones.
Yes.
Yeah, Tiffany had they were handing out the future cruises out of Galveston paperwork on board the ship from the next cruise office, to get you psyched up. And Jewel of the Seas was on there, and she does have some good ones too. Yeah, Jewel of the Seas is coming. Of course, we all know Jubilee's coming. Harmony of the Seas is coming. The Regal Princess is coming. The Norwegian Breakaway is coming. The Carnival Miracle is coming. Mariner of the Seas is coming. So, there's quite a few ships fixing to rotate in and out of Galveston. But, yeah, there's going to be some good stuff over there. It's been a thing for a while where people sailing out of Galveston regular have been asking more itineraries. We want something different. We want to go more places. Cruise lines are listening. They're saying, hey, there's millions and millions and millions of people sailing out of this cruise port. It's become number 4. Galveston's up to number 4 cruise port wise. We need to listen to these folks a little bit. But if you're going to sail places other than Cozumel, Progreso, Costa Maya, Belize and Roatan out of Galveston, you're looking 9, 10, 11 plus day cruises in order to get to those other kind of places. That's the give and take out of doing those types of cruises, which is why they're long cruises. Yeah. They have to be. The cruise ship can even get there. So, which is fine by me, but unfortunately with Tiffany, sometimes means she can't go.
Stephanie says, curious as to which size ships you all prefer. My husband and I prefer the larger ships only because they have so much more to do and offer on board. Although we did take a cruise out of Tampa.
All right, so I've been on an Oasis class ship, Allure of the Seas, giant ship. There was lots to do. I like that ship. I thought for a ship that size, the number of people on it, it did not feel overly crowded, in my opinion. I thought it was good. I thought it was nice. I agree with you. There was lots to do. There were a lot of activities and things like that. And for a family, it's probably perfect. Mm-hmm. But I've also been on the smaller ships. And yep, there's not as many things on there, but I think what the smaller ships give you versus the bigger ships is a more quality experience. In some cases, there is more time with the crew. There's more crew interaction because the crew has more time to interact. It's more personable.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a more intimate, personal experience on a smaller ship. Now, again, if you're traveling with a family and kids and all this other kind of stuff, that's probably not your best choice because there's going to be less for kids to do. They may get bored easier. But like for Tiffany and I traveling, that intimate experience of, and more personal, because we love crew members, talking to them and they have time to talk. It's always on the smaller ships when you can spend a half an hour talking with ship's officers. We be sitting in the coffee shop in the morning. They just come over and go, "Hey guys, how's your cruise? How's it going? Mind if we talk about it?" And next you know, you're having a 30, 45-minute conversation with, one of the senior officers on board the ship. I haven't never gotten that on the larger ships. They just don't have the same amount of time. It's less, it's more passengers per crew members on a larger ship. So I like them both. I don't really prefer one over the other because I think they both have plus or minuses.
Stephanie says she totally agrees with you.
Yeah. For me, it's really hard. It's really hard for me to say this is my favorite because I can find so much good stuff about all of it. I can find something good with every cruise line I've been on. I can find good stuff with every ship that I've been on. There's some stuff I don't like that I wish it was just a little bit different, or maybe I liked it better on this one than I liked on this one. But I've never gotten on a cruise ship and had a bad experience. I've sailed on one of the oldest cruise ships out there before it retired. I was on the very last sailing of the Carnival Ecstasy, and she's one of my favorites. And she had some stuff on there that I've never seen on another cruise ship. She had the absolute best water pressure at sea I've ever seen.
And AC.
And the air conditioner was so phenomenal. I had to turn it off during the daytime because it tried to freeze me out of my own room. But I can go on a brand new ship and not get remotely the same thing. Yeah, I can ride 3 flow riders, climb a rock climb, ice skate, ride a go-kart, and a roller coaster. But my water pressure is not that great, and my AC barely works. But I got to ride the roller coaster, so
give and take.
Yeah, it's a give or take.
Billy says, want to take a cruise tour in Alaska next year to get the hubs. Are there brochures anymore, or since COVID, the cruise lines not offer them anymore? I like paper rather than computer.
They absolutely do offer the cruise tours. Yes, you can still get paper versions of that. You can get directly with the cruise line for that stuff if you're interested. If you want to get it from me, go over to my Facebook page, send me a private message with like your email address, or email me your email address, and I can email you copies that you can print out if you want paper copies and stuff like that, because I do have access to the cruise tour brochures. But yes, all the cruise lines are still doing their cruise tours. Yes, they are bookable. Yes, you can still get paper brochures.
Rick says, I love Allure, but I love Liberty of the Seas and Independence also.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, we just got off of Voyager of the Seas, which is roughly same size, same class. It's Adventure of the Seas, Voyager of the Seas. But they're very, very similar. I do have quite a fondness for that particular size of Royal Caribbean ship. It is almost perfect. Mm-hmm. Not too big, not too small. It's still got the promenade, right down the middle there on deck 5. I do prefer the Liberty version more than the Adventure of the Seas version. A little more updated, but
Rick said he sailed the original Mardi Gras when it was named Star of Texas as a gambling boat out of Galveston.
There was one. Oh, no, in Galveston. I'm thinking of the one that was in Corpus. No. There used to be a really old ship that used to do that gambling cruise out of Galveston. This was years and years ago. Corpus. Used to go out of Corpus. I know it's not the same ship, but I'm familiar with that concept.
Yeah. Lenny says the smallest ship we were on was the Ecstasy, and the service and crew were fantastic. Gifts in our room and chocolates on our pillows every night.
The very last cruise on that Ecstasy, that crew was, still on point. They were going to go out on top as far as their quality, their service. There is really something to be said about the crew interactions you can have on those smaller ships. You want to get to know crew members and talk to crew members and have crew members have the opportunity, to interact with you more. Smaller ship, fewer passengers, more crew time. You definitely get it, and the crew will shine.
Stephanie said we cruised on the inaugural sailing of the Oasis back in 2009, and it was by far the best cruise experience my husband and I have ever had, and we still talk about it to this day.
Tiffany still talks about her very first one, and I talk about my very first one. My very first cruise was the Disney Wonder in 2006, and Tiffany was a much latecomer to the cruising market. She was the Disney Fantasy in 2016.
Dilly says, thank you, but I don't have Facebook.
Okay, if you look on the bottom of any of my videos, you go down to the description, it has my email address on there as well. And you can click on my email address and you can send me an email if you like. Whatever version of it you're comfortable with. I've got plain old email and stuff like that. I just don't want you to put your information here on a public forum. Because it's a public forum, let's keep your contact information secure, which is the only reason I say to do it that way. I just don't. You can't trust everybody on the internet today. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, I still talk about my very first cruise. I absolutely remember that one. Tiffany and the kids still talk about their first one. It's still one of her favorite stories to tell. You'll always remember if you get on your first cruise ship and you love it, and cruising becomes your thing, you'll remember that first cruise forever, in my opinion. And if you hate it, you're gonna remember that first cruise too. But you'll be talking about that in a whole different section of the internet.
I'll email you over any news of what's going on in the Port of Galveston.
Absolutely. Anything you email me, information, stories like that. When I put that up in any videos, I of course will let everybody know where it comes from. If anybody sends me information that I share out, you will get credit for the share.
That would be awesome, Rick. I would greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, and listen, we share all kinds. I can't say it enough. We are a sharing community. I have multiple people that send me stuff to share out. And if we use that kind of stuff, we, of course, let everybody know where it comes from. I like to say we're just one big team.
Yes.
One big cruising team.
One big cruising family.
One big cruising family.
Yes. Yes. We're a very big family.
Sorry, it reminded me of a Fast and the Furious joke.
I don't.
Huh?
Okay.
No, because remember that he's always talking about, family. And there's jokes about it now. After 10 movies, 11 movies, whatever they're up to, it's kind of.
They're in space now.
Yeah. That's because he heard there's family in space. But I'm getting way off topic here. Way off topic. All right. Well, I think we are just about ready to go here for today. Like I said, the ship video, full ship tour of Voyager of the Seas will be out this Friday. What Every Cruiser Wants will be out on Saturday per usual.
Yes.
We will have both of those ready to go this week. Does anybody else have any other questions, concerns, comments, anything they want to share before we hop off of here? Going to be looking at some upcoming cruises here in the next few days. Tiffany doesn't know it yet, but I'm looking to do some booking.
I know it now.
That's okay. You don't know my logins to the booking site, so we're good. I change the passwords once a week just to keep her out of there.
Rick says, "What's your favorite island?"
Ooh, no, hold on, let me think about this one for a second. What do you think? I'm torn between Castaway Key and Perfect Day at Coco Cay. You haven't been to Perfect Day at Coco Cay, so what would your favorite island be? Would it be Castaway?
Rick loves St. Thomas.
I haven't been to St. Thomas in about 30 years. It's probably been at least, about 30 years, maybe 40. No, not 40. 30, 35 years since I've been on St. Thomas. We will be in St. Thomas next May, though.
Lenny says, Geneva and I think you both do great and informative.
Thank you very much. We really, really appreciate it. We appreciate you and Geneva. I mean, you guys have been here with us since the very, very beginning. Been with us for years. We've only been doing it for a few years, but you guys have been here the entire time.
Several of you all have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've got definitely have OG members. Completely have OG members. And they've been with us since the very, very beginning. Now, as I said, it's been years and years since I've been to St. Thomas. I actually used to live on St. Croix. I lived on St. Croix. I was still in school. So that kind of lets you know that was a long time ago when I lived on St. Croix. I loved it. I loved it when we lived down there. As a kid, my father was in the military. He was in the Coast Guard. So he was stationed on St. Croix. And we actually lived in this apartment complex for a while there before they moved us up into a house. But I used to be able to come down the stairs in the apartment complex, go out the side gate. I mean, we're talking past the pool, out the side gate, onto the beach. And swim in the ocean year round. And that was one of the absolute best times that I can remember as a kid, was living on St. Croix. That was a good part. I also had to go to a private school, so I was wearing like school uniforms and all kinds of other goofy stuff because of the school system there at the time. But yeah, St. Croix was great. So when we used to do like field trips or school trips, we went to St. Thomas for that kind of stuff. That was like a field trip, was to go from St. Croix to St. Thomas. Things like that. So beautiful, beautiful places. I want to go back just to see how much of it do I remember, how much of it looks familiar. And it was so beautiful that, I absolutely want to see. I remember mangoes used to just grow on the trees in the yard, bananas, the hibiscus flowers. You go out and swim in the ocean and lobsters used to walk by. And you could pick up the big giant conch shells. They were just everywhere. Super awesome memories from being a kid.
Connie says, wow, St. Croix is beautiful. St. Croix and St. John, fantastic. And Rick says that is way cool.
Yeah. So I have an absolute love of the Caribbean. I love it. I like the culture. I like the ocean. I'm like Moana. It calls to me. Tiffany will tell you. It's like, hey, we're going to the island. What do you want to do? Swim, snorkel, dive. I just want to get in. I almost was ready to jump off the pier right there in Costa Maya this last week because it was clear. It was beautiful. The fish were swimming right there. I'm like, cool. I'm going to get in right here. Security's like, no, you're not. So
Rick says we watch Caribbean Life show where people buy houses on the islands. We dream about it.
Yeah, I love those shows. It's like the Fixer Up show. You know, it's like, what do you do for a living? I raise cats. How about you, sir? I make, origami swans. Our budget is $5.7 million. Love those shows. You know,
Here you go making fun of shows again.
I'm just telling you. It's just as bad as a Ghost Hunter show, okay? Something touched my leg. My budget's $2.7 million. What? Anyway, I'm going to get way off track again. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We really, really appreciate it. Love having everybody here. Just love getting on here, talking, sharing information, making fun of reality TV shows. It's good. Maybe that's what we need to do. Let's pitch a reality TV show about life on a cruise ship.
I think they have.
Which one? Is there a reality TV show about being on a cruise ship? Not that yachts, where the ultra rich have, and it's like about their crew. No, I'm talking about cruise ships. Okay. I'm talking about the crew member who has to come around the door and have oh God, I was in the buffet today and I cannot believe that lady licked every crab leg on the plate without even taking it off. I want that show.
Okay.
That's the show I want.
Dale says, thanks for the live show. Connie says, have a good evening.
All right. I appreciate everybody. Thank y'all very much.
Rick says, cool concept.
Right? I need to pitch that. But we're going to call Fox or whatever one of them channels does all those reality shows. Let's call and let's pitch it.
Okay. All right.
Somehow we'll get them to call it High C something or another.
Cody says, thanks for the live.
I appreciate it. They're all like, this guy's dumb. Oops. I'm looking for the right buttons. All right. And there we go. All right. Thank you again, everybody. We really, really appreciate it. Hope everyone out there has a really good night. If you haven't done so, do me a favor. Let's smash that like button. Let's see how many likes we can get. Hit the subscribe button. Free to do so. All it does is let you know, hey, he's got some upcoming videos you may want to take a look at. Lets YouTube know people are watching. Pushes us out to more people. That way we can get more people to join our cruising family. But hope everyone out there has a really good night. And like always,
we'll see you out on the high seas.
Good night, everybody.